What's going on, car nerds? Welcome back to the Fuel for Thought podcast. I'm Jay.
Kevin.
And this is episode 28. Kevin, what's it about today?
Today we're exploring the pretty impressive company that's pretty newish called Gordan Murray Automotive, or GMA for short.
Huh, sounds very egotistical naming it after himself, eh?
It's kind of a power trip, and it feels also almost like an ego boost. So for those of you who don't know, Gordan Murray is the guy that co-designed the McLaren F1, which is...
So he's a big shot.
Yeah, he definitely is, and it's one of the most legendary cars. We've talked about it quite a few times on this podcast. And he started his own company and made a car that's very, very similar to the F1. Almost kind of, I don't know, it feels like just a money grab.
So he's trying to get that fame back through different means. So did he used to work at McLaren then?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's like one of the engineers or something?
Yeah, exactly. And it is a pretty fascinating car that we're going to look at. But this company is British, from the UK, just like McLaren. It's actually in the region called Surrey, England. And one thing that I found quite funny is any cars built from the UK kind of has a reputation for being like terrible reliability.
That is true.
Because we know like Land Rover, Jaguar, McLaren, like new McLarens, all have range of issues for like, performance, chassis, everything.
So even electronic, pretty much anything.
Yeah, Aston Martin is also an issue.
That's true.
I'd be curious to see like if these cars are properly built or there's just something in the water in the UK and they just can't get anything right.
It's all the rain, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe lack of sun is messing with their heads. But we talked about last episode. We talked about how we feel there's a lack of passion in cars nowadays, and manufacturers are kind of just following trends and not really innovating that much. This company is the complete end of the spectrum. This whole car is just a passion project. Like they're building this. It doesn't really make sense. It doesn't fulfill a need, but it's just something that's people dream about.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it was received when it first got announced. It was like everyone was just in awe because this is something we feel needs to happen, and I'm glad it happened.
Yeah, pretty crazy though that they were able to get something close.
So we're gonna introduce the first one. This is GMA T.50.
Sounds like a robot.
Yeah, I don't know about the naming. It's a bit weird, but
do you say T.50 or is it T50?
T.50.
T.50.
Yeah, some people call it T50, but the actual name is like a dot.
Since it's British, I think it's T full stop 50.
Potentially.
That would sound cooler, actually.
Yeah. This car is pretty insane. When it came out in 2021, it was just a concept. It won the Hypercar of the Year.
Oh shit! As a concept?
Yeah. So it was like close to the final version.
Okay.
But it's when it was released, it just blew everyone's minds, and won the Hypercar of the Year. And the biggest part around this car is the engine and transmission. So it's a naturally aspirated V12, like everyone's raving about.
I like this.
Mated to a 6-speed manual transmission.
Okay, that's already great.
So it pulls from the F1 because the F1 was the same thing. V12 manual. It's a middle seat design, so it's like middle seat and then 2 seats beside.
Also like the F1.
Yeah, like
pretty
the
cool.
F1. It's got the cool like butterfly doors.
Is the V12 a BMW V12?
No, it's an engine built by with the help of Cosworth.
Ooh, okay.
So Cosworth is legendary, especially in the UK.
I think we should actually do an episode on Cosworth soon, because I think
so.
Like there's some sweet cars they build, and I've been wanting to talk about that for a while, so we definitely should.
Yeah, for sure, because they know what they're doing for sure.
Yeah.
And the most insane part, this engine revs to 11,500 RPM.
That's like Formula One territory.
Yeah.
That's insane. I want to hear this thing now.
Yeah, I should have included a sound clip because it sounds insane.
We'll include it in the video. I'll put it in. But yeah, we definitely need to hear that. That's important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the engine is the best part of the car.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it is a race car, so you got carbon fiber tube, a bunch of lightweight materials, so it doesn't weigh that much. It's under 1,000 kilograms.
That's insane.
It's 2,000 pounds.
Do you know the power on this thing?
I think I wrote it somewhere. It's like 650, almost
okay.
700.
Yeah, it's approaching the 1-1 territory. It's not quite there, but
yeah. So in its class, it's got like one of the best power to weight ratio.
Yeah,
it's not like because it's a hybrid car. It's technically on the low end in terms of power, but it's so light. And this thing we'll get in later in the aerodynamics, but this thing has some serious downforce. It is crazy the amount of technology they crammed into this thing. But I want to touch something because there's this kind of trend going on in the market right now of manufacturers building like race cars for the road. So it's the car itself is designed as a race car, and then they kind of take a step back and like decide how they're going to make it street legal.
Yeah.
Because normally what we see is production car goes into production, sports car, supercar, whatever. And then they go, okay, how do we make it faster on the racetrack? And then they make like Superleggera or Performante. But these guys are doing the opposite. They're making a race car, and then they're like, how can we make it road legal?
Dial it back to make it street legal.
So it's competing with the Aston Martin Valkyrie and the Mercedes AMG 1.
Both of those are not street legal, right?
They are both street legal.
Oh, they are? Okay.
So all three of them are street legal.
I thought the Valkyrie wasn't. Or is that just like, is it the same thing? They have like a track version? Or
yeah, so they have the AMR Pro, which is the race only.
Okay.
But speaking of Valkyrie, this one has been very controversial in the last like year or two because there's just been a lot of issues with it. So first of all, the car is about $3 million. And that's a lot of money for a car. But a lot of people are starting to back out of their orders because there's been a lot of delays for electronics. So I think last year they only delivered like 67 units out of the 150 they're supposed to produce. And then the biggest one is the maintenance. That's $500,000 a year in maintenance.
Holy shit.
So
I mean, that speaks to that, reliability that we were talking about before.
Mm-hmm. And
$500,000 a year. Wow.
Yeah. Another big issue is, I mean, this is kind of given, but it's terrible on the streets.
Yeah.
Because the biggest one has straight cut gears, so like the whine is constantly there. So you need to wear like headphones because if you don't, you'll be deaf within a couple of minutes of driving it. And it's just people can't drive it on the streets. It's not meant for it.
Yeah.
It's too extreme, which makes sense. It's a race car.
Exactly. Yeah. It's built for that that F1 type power.
Yeah, but it's kind of like now the owners are in a tough spot. Like they spent $3 million. They can't drive on the streets. Sure, they can bring on the track, but you can't. It's a whole process.
But then there's a whole other series of cars you can pick from too if you go with track only cars, right? So
yeah. And also they're not legal in the U.S.
Oh, really? So, but elsewhere they are, like Europe?
Yeah.
Here?
So Europe, I'm guessing because it didn't pass the crash tests and all that. So yeah, it's kind of almost useless at this point.
Yeah, very, very interesting. So I'm curious, with the $500K a year to maintain, is that just like the engine mostly? Like, does it just blow up? Or? Yeah,
so the engine needs to be taken out for refresh. I think the tires are also really expensive because they're like specially built for that car.
Right.
And then just general maintenance. It's basically kind of like a race car. Every so kilometers you need to change like suspension or rework the suspension, make sure everything's aligned and.
Yeah, like those F1 cars too. I think their engine lasts 6 races or something.
Mm-hmm.
It costs like $1 million to make.
Yeah, and I think because the straight cut gears are so lightweight and so thin, the life on them is not good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so you got to replace like transmission stuff too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, that adds up for sure.
So not a good car, but they sold out, and Anyway, so moving on back to the GMA, the T50. So this one's only limited to 100 units, and just to show how much hype there is around the like Gordan and the F1, this car when unveiled, it sold out in 48 hours.
All 100 units in 48 hours.
Yeah, all 100 units.
Jesus.
And this is not a cheap car either. This is like 2.5 million base. So
so that's like quarter billion raised in 48 hours. That's insane.
Yeah. So insane to think about how do you even get that many people?
Yeah, like how is this like so well known that 100 wealthy people like that bought
like
them?
If you think about it, they didn't run ads. Like, I guess they just released it at the auto show and then were taking orders. But
that's what I'm wondering, if it like spread on social media or something.
Yeah, 100 people at the auto show were ready with their checkbooks.
Crazy.
Open.
Just write $2.5 million check.
Yeah, I can't wait to get on that level.
Yeah, one day, hopefully.
So yeah, they're all sold out, which kind of is a shame, but it also means that, it's incentives for this company, because this sold out, so obviously doing well, there's demand, so they made another model, which we'll cover later on. But the part I'm really excited about is the aerodynamics. This is insane. So it's a bit controversial, the look, the back end of it. Like, I don't know if you can see this picture, but they stuck a massive fan in the back. So like there's a giant circle at the back of the car. And
kind of looks like a Pagani exhaust, but it's a fan.
Yeah.
Weird.
And it's like way bigger. It's almost like takes up half the car. And what this does is it's a massive fan that spins and breaks up the turbulent air in the back end and almost creates kind of like a suction for the rear. So so this one has a spoiler. This is the race car. The normal road car doesn't have a spoiler. And the way they achieve the downforce to like lower the back end to get more grip on the tires is through the use of a fan.
Oh, so but the wing adds additional downforce on this one, right?
On the race car, yeah.
On the T50S.
Because, it's only going to work when you're at high speeds.
Right.
Because aerodynamics start kicking in when you're going fast.
Yeah. So low speed, the fan is supposed to work for low speed as well? Or is it just high speed?
Just at high speed. So that's why the race car has the wing, because when you're cornering at low speeds, you still need that downforce.
So the wing is for low speed. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, this technology, at least to my knowledge, hasn't been used on road cars ever.
I haven't never heard of it.
It's been played around in Formula racing. Some cars have like small vents or small fans around to help with downforce, but this is never this is brand new technology on road going cars. And
I'm sure I like the look of it. I'm sure they could kind of conceal it a little bit better, but
yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I get the technology, I get the pushing for new technology, but it just ruins the back end. In my opinion, it just ruins the look. The front is beautiful. It's got a wedge. It's like got little vents, but yeah, the back end is just miss. And something that I find interesting, because active aero a few years ago was a new trend, but I feel like now most supercars have some sort of active aero. So I'm curious to see if this is going to become a trend to have some sort of active fans to help downforce, or this is going to be a fad. And
would be really cool though to see what they can come up with. Even just the F12, for example, how it has those holes in the hood. It's like a panel that goes, and the little ducts that open for the brakes to cool them. Things like that are really, really intriguing, and honestly kind of a cool story to tell people too. If you own a car like that, you go to a car show, you can be like, oh yeah, look at this,
Yeah.
But yeah, this is definitely going in a different direction.
Yeah, this is sliding the scale to 10.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, most people don't think it's a good looking car, unfortunately. It is awesome. I just feel like the look is so important. I get technology, but three seats, which is, I think the original F1 was because they didn't want to do so how in the UK it's right hand drive, in the US it's left hand drive.
They wanted 2 versions.
Yeah, they didn't want to keep changing and all that, so they just built it in the middle.
So what do you do when you get to a parking meter? You just have to slide into the passenger seat.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not really meant for a daily driver.
No, I can see that.
And it's also funky because you gotta like retrain your brain, because everything's like. So you got the shift on the right. So if you're in the UK and you normally drive left hand,
Right, you got to switch that
then you
over.
gotta switch
Yeah.
that, and you're just like in the middle. There's like empty space everywhere, so your blind spots are probably a lot worse.
That's true. Yeah, switching right to left isn't too bad. I've done that. Like on the island, there was like we drove like a R32 with like the steering wheel on the right.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird for like a day or two, but then it gets pretty normal. But yeah, the middle seat thing I feel like would be weird, like you said, with blind spots and even just like knowing when you're in the middle of a lane. I feel like
Yeah.
that'd be hard.
Actually, wouldn't that be easier? Because if you're in the middle,
Maybe.
you're in the middle of the lane.
I feel like you also wouldn't be able to gauge where the line is, at
Mhm.
first. Because like I know, like for example, when I drive now, like where I should be relative to the like center line or the side line.
Yeah.
I guess if you like reshifts. I don't know. I guess we'd have to try it to find out. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm probably not gonna try
hey, you never know.
because F1
Or the
and
Koenigsegg.
the Koenigsegg.
It's also center, isn't it?
No.
Oh, it's not. I thought it was. Because it has like that weird like cocoon shaped thing that you sit in the middle of. No, it
No.
might be a certain model. I don't know.
No, I think they're all like normal configurations.
I'll have to look it up after. I
Yeah.
thought it was, but
So yeah, that's the T.50. Now they have the T.50S, which is the race car.
so that's the one with the wing.
Yeah, and has like an aggressive spoiler. This one we don't know too much about. I think they're still kind of in the concept phase. So it's limited to 25 units, racetrack only, not road legal. And these come at 4 million a piece.
For a just track car, I guess.
Yeah, and in my opinion, it looks better. Like
It does, yeah.
I feel like,
I haven't seen the original, but
well, imagine a
It's
bit
like without the
higher-
wing,
Yeah, without
yeah.
the wing, and it looks better.
agreed.
That's
it looks pretty
about it.
aggressive.
Yeah, the diffuser is a lot more aggressive on this
Yeah.
one. So,
Side skirts too, a little bit. Like
mhm,
see, there's a little bit more, just arrow. It looks like.
yeah. Now, so this is the T50. There's a lot of hype. The T.33 though, in my opinion, this one is like they knocked it out of the park.
Okay, so first of all, where are they getting these numbers, 50 and 33?
I'm not sure exactly because it's not the horsepower.
Yeah,
it's not
It's
the
not
weight.
the size of the engine.
I'd be
Weird.
curious to know. Like,
Yeah,
why.
maybe they just pull it out of their ass. They're like, 33 is a good number, sure.
Yeah, maybe kind of like I don't know.
Yeah, probably has some reasoning.
Yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, this one is kind of the more affordable car, if you can say so. It's still 1.8 million.
Oh, it's cheap, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like the Volkswagen version,
yeah,
the people wagon.
yeah,
It's 1.8 mil instead of 4 or 2.5.
yeah. So it's still not cheap. But this one's not limited production. So
Ooh,
there's
okay.
there's probably still a limit to how many they're going to produce per year because it's still a small factory. But
Mhm.
in theory, there could be I don't know 500 of these things.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That means we might see them if they start producing them.
Hopefully, I haven't seen if they're like legal in the U.S. or Canada, but I'm hoping if the F1 passed and everything, maybe this one can.
Yeah, this one sounds less intense too, the T33, than the T50 and T50S.
Yeah,
So there is hope, maybe.
yeah. So this one's kind of same premise. A V12 made it to 6-speed manual transmission. This one only revs to 11,000, which is still
Still
insane.
really high. It's
Like
like
the-
500 RPM difference, but
Yeah, like this is like bikes rev at this.
yeah, I don't
speed.
understand how they do that. That's crazy. That explains the maintenance though on these things, because it's all those moving parts of those RPMs.
Yeah, they don't have like figures, but it's not going to be as insane as the Valkyrie.
No,
like, this
probably
is
not.
not. I mean, it's still going to be expensive, but it's not like Bugatti level or
True. Yeah, that's like next level, like 20,000 for a set of tires.
yeah,
It's not going to be that insane.
yeah. So this is, I guess, lower key than the others. So the T33 comes out to 2,400 pounds, which is only 200 more than.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah, so it's still around a metric ton.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's still a pretty light car, nimble. This one, like they completely redesigned it. They kind of lost everything that made the other one fancy, like techie, so no fan,
Okay.
no active aero, no nothing, no nonsense. It's just a normal two-seater, nothing crazy out of the ordinary.
So it doesn't look as much like the F1 then, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and like if you look at it, like the pictures are kind of shit
Yeah.
because it's still a teaser, but it
It's pretty
looks it looks like a car you'd see on the road. It's not like that different.
Like that bottom photo, like the one from the back, kind of reminds me of the F40 back end, and Ford GT a little bit too.
Yeah, so that's kind of what they use when they're designed. They were trying to pull from old school,
Like that era,
old school-ish with a new twist. So you see the rounded headlight or tail lights that kind of look like old Ferrari tail lights, but are LEDs.
It's kind of cool. It's a kind of trend. Like even I know we've talked about it before, that Singer 959 or whatever that they did. I forget.
Yeah.
We saw at that car show. That thing looked incredible. But yeah, it's a really cool trend that I've been seeing. They just use their like artistic abilities to remake these older cars into like more modern looking ones, and it's crazy what comes out. Of that. So yeah, I really like this concept idea of bringing the F1 back.
I think it's something that we needed, like a passion project.
Exactly.
I'm glad it happened like before we can't see these any V12s and all these crazy engines anymore.
Like the last of a kind, honestly. But I mean, me and you have been ranting a lot about how there's no originality anymore, and there's it's all just made for mass production and stuff. So I'm glad there are still companies out there like this and this passion projects going on. I know Koenigsegg is also a great example of that. I know they maybe not mass produce, but they produce more units, but they still put so much passion into their cars. Probably Pagani, same thing. So yeah, very, very cool to see these kinds of cars still being produced.
Yeah, for sure. And I would love to see one. I don't know if we'll be able to.
I really
maybe
hope so.
if we ever go down to Monterey Car Week, I feel like one of these, even if they're not road legal, someone's gonna probably ship it
for
there.
sure. Yeah, in a trailer or something. And who knows, maybe in Europe, if we ever go there, might see one in like Italy or in the UK.
Yeah, for sure. Because this is it's like it fits right in with the competition, and I love seeing these small companies like you mentioned Singer, we got Gunthworks, these companies that kind of pop up, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make financial sense for them to take such risks, but we as a car community and usually people with big wallets like kind of help create this.
Exactly, because obviously like even the Singer and stuff, they're like pushing $1 million, so obviously they're getting their money's worth. It's just taking that initial risk that there's going to be a market that wants to buy it, because or else you're out a shit ton of money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, anything to add?
No.
Sweet. All right, guys, thanks for watching or listening to this episode